Welcome, everybody. However many listeners we have right now, we have an interesting stream. Both Nick and Plutarch said, "Oh, they're looking forward to this one." Well, I am too. So I'm leading it tonight. Our theme is Return of the Jezebel. What does that mean? Well, in the red pill, it's talked about once in a while that, oh, she'll always come back. Okay. Yeah, that's the theme. But I got divorced from my first wife. She never came back. What does that mean? So let me bring up
Nick,
my notes.
or
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Steve.
Chris.
I'll tell you what it means. I can tell you that. I can give you the red pill answer right now. You weren't alpha. You weren't alpha man enough.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's the red pill answer.
All right, stream's
You weren't
over. We
Jim
have
Broing.
the answer.
You weren't Jim Broing it enough, man.
Yeah, you weren't hustling hard enough.
Okay.
Stream's
So
over,
Return
guys.
of the Jezebel. Okay, the red pill has said that a woman always returns. Is this true? What if she's a Jezebel that rebelled against her husband, divorced him, made false allegations, had him jailed, imposed restraining orders, usurped custody of the children, and obtained significant child support and alimony?
Damn, that burns.
Will she return? Maybe. Or maybe not. It depends. Now, I just want to point something out. I chuckled at that answer because if you listen to whatever podcast where Andrew asks questions of the women, yes or no, it's always well, it depends. They can never give a straight answer. So just watch for that. Watch how often a woman says it depends. But in this case,
They got to keep their options always open, right?
Well, you can't know anything for certain, and generalizations might not be true. Therefore, you have to throw out the generalization because each situation is completely different than any other situation. So, what does it depend upon? Well, no, I don't think that's not money, Nick. Not really.
Not tingles?
No.
Not tingles? Not desperation?
Oh, bingo.
Well,
Okay,
I was going to say that if it's money, it's like she already divorced him, got alimony, got child support. Like the state's mandating that money be given to her. So I don't see money as the likelihood one there.
Yeah. Well, my first ex was receiving money from me. She had no need for me. Why the hell would she come back then? She's getting everything she wanted.
Yeah, she can kick you to the curb to get all the money she needs.
Right. Does that happen, Nick? Or do women attempt that?
All the time. I mean, that's how the courts are set up, is to strip fathers of their rights and their legacy, suffer under false allegations, and make them walking ATMs, enslaved to the state.
Okay. So, there's, with all this tariff talk, on again, off again, is it going to be high inflation? Is manufacturing coming back? What about my job? I see stuff happening. I'm still having trouble making ends meet. There's a lot of talk about recession. Some already have said we are in a recession. We just haven't recognized it yet because what does it take 2 quarters of economic downturn before it's declared? So you're always in it before it's declared a recession.
That is the correct NBER definition, and yeah, basically you will be in a recession in 6 months before they acknowledge that it's a recession, and it can go on longer than that.
True. So we don't know if we're in a recession, but we know.
But we do know.
We're in a recession.
Economically, financially, there's a lot of people hurting. What if it gets really bad? In other words, SHTF. You guys know what that means. Or Iatawaki. That's the end of the world as we know it.
It's the end of the world as
sing.
we know it. There you go.
So, what does that mean? Well, reduction or elimination of welfare programs. There's a lot of stuff going on by what's Elon Musk's department?
Doge.
Department
of Government Efficiency.
You know, they've been cutting things. They haven't gotten to the third rail yet, which is the welfare system and Social Security. But
well, they're there though. They 2 weeks ago, they went through the database and they took everybody with a birthday older than 120 and just marked them as dead. And so they stopped getting their benefits.
If they were getting benefits, that was never confirmed.
Right. We don't know if they were, but anybody who was, they're not getting them anymore.
So, okay. He's talking about increasing the military budget to $1 trillion. They're looking to save, I don't know, what was it, $1 trillion? Eventually, you might have to look at some of these transfer programs, such as SNAP, WIC, Section 8 housing, heating assistance, which is mainly state, but I'm sure the state is getting money from the federal government. And what happens if the husband loses, or the ex-husband loses his job and goes to court? And because things are so bad, the court is actually sympathetic and reduces or possibly ends the child support payment.
Wait. Okay, Steve. You just said the court is sympathetic. I'm talking. Things have to be really bad before the court gets sympathetic.
Hey, this could be an end of the world scenario.
But the feminists run this crap. It's like the radicals have seized the administrative state.
Okay, fine. But maybe law enforcement budgets are cut. So maybe there's less cops out there and crime went up. So they just got no time to enforce child support.
Now, and that I could see happen.
They just cut back on IRS agents. So could the system break down and the garnishment process just not
destroy it? It's got to be destroyed.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
These don't have to.
Wish, and then there's a reality, right?
These things do not have to be probable. Okay, they don't have to be likely. It's possible. Unlikely, but it's possible. Okay, that's enough for this discussion. What if there's a reform to Social Security programs? For instance, Title IV, which compensates or reimburses the counties for whatever monies they get from a father, an alienated father, that money comes out of the Social Security program. Social Security's not in good shape. So they might say, oh, we don't have money to do that anymore. States, you're on your own. It's possible. Okay, so these are, well, should we call these?
So, Steve, you're telling me that these fat ledge butts that go to Walmart, get all that SNAP benefits, won't get to buy their fudge rounds anymore? Yes, it's a song reference.
Well, maybe.
Well, I've part of the Maha thing that RFK wants to do is cutting off the SNAP benefits to buy any food that you want, and there'd be like a list of things that they can buy with it, and if they buy anything else, they have to pay cash. And I know he's trying to do that. So yes, Nick.
Do you know what?
I'm gonna go get them a fudge rounds no more.
What do economists call these type of things?
Liabilities?
No, it's an exogenous event.
Correct. Okay, if you guys want to know the actual term that an economist is going to use to describe this, because economists are math freaks, the actual term is unit root. If you want to see an economist just go into instant flop sweat and their knees start to buckle, just utter the words unit root.
So there's all kinds of models, and the economists have got this all mapped out. They got a model for how the world, society, economics, the transfer payment, all this shit, how it all is supposed to work. When at some it never works the way they say. What is their constant excuse? Well, it wasn't the model's fault. It was something outside the model that changed.
By the way, this happened in 2008. There was a unit root event in 2008. I think I mentioned him in the last video. There's a guy named Jeff Snyder who's actually mapped out what happened and what the unit root was. And we have never gotten back to the trajectory that we were on pre-2008, even to this day.
So
economists, fuck them.
To summarize this, yeah, when she's desperate, economically desperate, she might come back.
When there's a return to the natural order?
Yeah, maybe it's trending in that way. What's the other thing that might cause her to come back? Repentance. Now,
it's an act of God. It takes an act of God. This takes an act of God. It's in the definition, actually, in the Westminster Confession. It's an act of God, right? This cannot take place without an act of God.
Yes, we said that the stuff with the economics and cutting benefits and what would happen there, that was extremely nah, that's not going to happen. You know what? This is even less likely. Repentance. Why is it less likely? Yes. Well,
yeah.
You have to be accountable.
But Steve, Nala proved that it doesn't take anything. All you have to do is say the right magic words and everything will work out for you.
Yeah, so are you going to believe her?
It's
kind of like she played a get out of jail card. Oh, I'm redeemed now. Jesus forgave me.
I'll make more money gripping that crap.
Oh, she is.
She doesn't have accountability. She didn't really acknowledge her error. How do you know? Oh, does she have any remorse?
No.
Fake, I think.
Or another word for remorse is contrition. She's sorry for all those men that she caused to sin through showing her butthole or whatever?
The answer is no, and we know this because she still posts the same kind of content she was posting before, just with clothes on this time. So there's clothes on, which makes it okay for all of her old simps to keep watching, but then all the Christian simps can come in and they can watch too because she's fully clothed. They're not seeing anything, like and they can tell their wives, honey, I'm just watching a video about somebody making cinnamon buns or whatever the fuck those things were.
Hey, the cross makes it all okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So did she make any restitution?
No.
Did she do anything in atonement for her past actions?
Not that I know of.
Did she refund any money to these men that she exploited their resources?
No, she had some excuse as to why she couldn't, and it basically worked out to I spent it all. And I can't, and giving it back would break me. Like, okay, that's fine. We accept your terms.
You know what? There's this thing called pennies on the dollar. Okay, so did she offer an apology or show any humility for her sinful ways?
Keeps going public when she should just shut up and live a quiet life.
Yeah, I don't know if she's actually offered an apology, but I do know that there's no humility because of what Nick said. She keeps going public. She keeps seeking attention. Look, if you're seeking attention, you are not finding humility. You are seeking self-aggrandizement.
So, Nick, in any branch of Christianity, in order to become saved, accept the gift of salvation, don't you have to make an apology to God, be accountable, show remorse, humility, make some amendments for your past behavior? Isn't that required no matter what kind of Christianity you're in?
Not in antinomian modern day evangelicalism. Modern day evangelicalism is antinomian to the core, anti-law. So all they have to do is say, Jesus saved me, and all my life doesn't really matter. I'm just indwelt by the Spirit, and Jesus just loves me no matter what I did in the past, no matter what I do now. And you guys are just you guys are just Pharisees for saying that the moral law still applies to me and that I should be apologetic, repentant, and have humility. That's antinomianism. Yeah.
So her coming back because of true repentance, it just doesn't happen. I've not seen this. She might come back with a Nala narrative. Notice I said narrative. It's a story. It's kind of rethinking Christianity, putting on a clean dress and saying, "Oh, no, I'm a trad."
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when. It was either the late 90s or early 2000s, but there was this trend of these rom-coms where this was basically the storyline. She would go off, she'd be a whore for a while, but then she would come back and she'd say, "Oh, I recognize now that what I did was this horrible thing and I want you." And the men, of course, just bought it up and, took them back. There was like a whole rash of these rom-coms back then. Are you saying that this can happen again?
Yeah, could be a false repentance.
Hey,
yeah.
We need to be like Hosea and marry wife up these prostitutes, and when they go off, we need to bring them back.
Yeah.
Shoe got it. Shoe. That's one of the ones I was thinking.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
But yeah, this doesn't work, guys. I got some Bible passages we'll get to like whenever we do that. But
okay,
guys,
so
no.
we've gone through 2. The other thing is no other men want her, or other men she's been with, and been with. They use her and they throw her away.
Okay, so these are usually women, late 20s, all the way into their 40s, right?
Sure.
They had their window of opportunity. They had all the attention. They dumped up. They went with the bad boys and blah blah blah. Or they might have had a good guy, but they still wanted to, travel the world, right? And have all these experiences. But it's not a war. I didn't get run through. Yeah, bullshit.
So this would be, she regrets the divorce. Now we're actually seeing a few women go on TikTok and stream about this. Oh, yeah, he was a good man. I divorced him. I messed up. I regret the divorce. Well, no, she regrets the consequences of the divorce.
Ding, ding, ding.
She regrets the outcome, not her action. She's not taking accountability for the action. She's just sorry about the circumstances that she now is in. So
yes.
So what's she doing now? Well, part of this, she's not being accountable. So you got to blame somebody. There is blame, but it's not her. So you can blame other men, blame men in general.
A tale as old as time.
Well, and we've been dealing with this a lot. And you still see all the TikToks put out about how it's the single mommies. Well, why won't these guys wife me up? Or nobody wants to date me. Or, you guys know the narratives, but this blame men thing has been around for a long time. Now, we're starting to see a pickup in the next one, but blame men is going to be very popular for a long time because it's been effective for decades, probably since the 60s. So this one's going to keep going.
You don't have to be. It's not just the divorced women who blame men. It's the women who want to get married, but there's no good men out there. And there's all these MGTOWs. We'll blame the MGTOWs.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Again, tactic. Eat, fly, pray, Chad. Find a good man.
So the next thing, she's going to blame society. It's not her, it's society. It's her upbringing. It's the feminist bullshit that she was taught in college. It's all her friends who said this would work out. And then there's a combination of men and society. Those two together, and what do you get? The patriarchy. It's the patriarchy's fault.
Well, I also
smash the patriarchy.
So I also see blame society as a little bit of what's driving the trad wife LARP.
Yeah.
So yes, the libs and feminists and whatnot, they're going to blame the patriarchy, but the trad wife LARP is kind of the right wing version of that, because what they would say is, well, we are trying to show that society is at fault by demonstrating something else. And look, I'm not going to say good or bad on that, because there will be good things that come out of it. But it's a reaction to, it's an attempt to shame society, where the left is more blaming society, the right is shaming society. Well, here's the thing. Neither side of you are going to solve the problem, because neither one of you is actually addressing the root cause. You're one's just trying to blame and the other one's just trying to shame and hoping that society just picks itself out of the mud.
So, yeah, okay, with all this blaming of others, is she going to tell the truth? No.
Oh.
No, that would mean that we'd be back up in that repentance category. No, not going to happen. No, a new narrative. She'll develop a new narrative, a new story that explains everything about why she's why she is where she is, and how it wasn't her fault, and it just things happened to her. It was caused. And we see this, lots of single women piss away their 20s, having fun. And then as they approach 30, what does the red pill call that?
Penny.
The wall.
Phase.
The wall. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So when she gets close to the wall, she develops a new narrative. And she tells that to the world. She tells it to her hopeful future husband, the simp.
Okay,
and
guys.
does he believe her?
Most of them do.
I saw this in real time the other night when I was watching the Astros game again. This other girl, sitting on the opposite side of the girl that was next to me. She was saying how she was the stripper, did all these bad things, blah, blah, blah. I just graduated my nursing degree. Yeah, red flag. Anyways.
Oh.
Then she goes, talks to the doorman. He's like, "Oh, I'm a good Christian woman." Tries to act very traditional, develop this narrative, and says, "I'll wear your hat." He had a cowboy hat on. She was talking about, writing and stuff. Yeah. Stay far away, guys. That's the new narrative.
So
do you think she also might have been a horse girl?
Yeah.
just trifecta there, right? Stripper, nurse, horse girl. Like there's your slut trifecta.
Well, she's
right
traditional, but she found God, right?
Right.
Well, she had a kid. She also had like a kid, maybe two, but
they all
yeah.
do.
What was she looking for?
So
developing a new narrative to get a new man to protect, provide.
Well, again, the new narrative is also trad wife is a new narrative, and we're also seeing a new narrative out of the left on, they have their traditional narratives about the patriarchy and whatnot, but there's a new narrative that's I'm starting to see signs of that basically says that men need to do more to support women and to support effort, to support the efforts of the matriarchy. Men need to work. It's actually ironically a bit of red pill for the left in terms of, and by red pill, I mean red pill hustle culture they're starting to recognize that they need to get men on board with helping the matriarchy. So they're starting to say, we need, David Hogg, if you know that name. He's one of the guys fighting for this. He's a big anti-2A guy, but he's saying, "Oh yeah, we need to get the men on board and because that's how they're planning on fighting the whole 2A thing, is getting men to believe that 2A is evil." But it's like they're starting to recognize that they need a new narrative around men, in part because the red pill has been so successful in reaching men.
Went mainstream.
So this last one is specifically to the man she discarded and the new narrative around him. Okay, she's going to have to blame him for what he did, and it really wasn't her fault. For instance, if Nick's wife came back, one of the things she might do is, Nick, you were a misogynist. You were mean. You didn't listen to me. I just had to leave. Now, I am checking back with you to see if you've seen the error of your ways, reformed yourself, and are you willing to give me an apology to get me back? Okay.
Let the door hit your butt on the way out.
But you can see a woman coming up with this this attempt.
It would be
I know
mixed
from personal experience.
Well,
especially this past week and a half. Yeah.
If they do that, it's going to be mixed with I saw this happen in other divorces. Didn't happen in mine, thank God. But when they come and they check back, they will also say things like, "Well, didn't you love me?" Or you loved me for insert number of years of relationship, right? Wasn't that worth something to you? Didn't that mean something to you?
You made a promise in your wedding vows that you would love me forever.
Yep.
Are you still Christian? Just because I did something wrong, does that allow you? Is God going to let you just off scot-free? You're required to take me back.
Oh, I saw that in the church, yeah, all the time.
Okay.
No.
What story is she going to use? Bible story about you're required to take me back.
Hosea. They go to Hosea every time.
Okay. I'm not prepared for that one. I'm prepared for the other one.
Which one's that?
It's the next thing in my notes.
Oh.
We'll get to Hosea. Okay. Nick can have that part. The parable of the prodigal son. Nick, will you read this?
All right. This is from Luke 15, verses 11 through 32. The word of the Lord says, "And he said, there is a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that falls to me.' And he divided his living between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took his journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in loose living. And when he had spent everything, a great famine arose in that country, and he began to be in want. So he went and joined himself to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would gladly have fed on the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet at a distance, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he arose and came to his father. But while he already read that part. Yeah. 'Father, I've sinned against heaven before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and make merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to make merry. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what this meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has received him safe and sound.' But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, 'Lo, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your living with harlots, you killed him for the fatted. You killed for him the fatted calf, and you said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to make merry and be glad, for this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and it is found.
So, on the off chance that there's a famine, basically nasty economic circumstances, and your ex-wife is suffering, and she comes back, she's going to expect to be welcomed with open arms. And
Steve,
go ahead.
As I was listening, I actually, when they quote this one, I was like, no, not only do they expect to be welcomed with open arms, they expect to be celebrated for coming back. And I think that stems from this idea of, well, look, yes, I left you, but I'm back. See, I have repented and I am back here trying to live out the Christian morality, where I'm not supposed to leave the guy. And you need to celebrate that I came back. See, the father celebrated the son that came back.
Well, this is a story of Christianity. We all strayed. Then we came back to Jesus, and he welcomed us with open arms. Is there more to the story than that?
Well, let's put it this way. Yes, you can celebrate the forgiveness and repentance of a woman that left you. No problem with that. Extending forgiveness, being glad that God has saved them and forgiven them. I would have no problem with that. That doesn't require the guy that, got his kick in the nuts and she left, and depending on whatever the circumstances were, but she left, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't require the man to take him back. Where'd Steve go?
Oh, who knows where he went. But the key point that, and I've been telling this to other people, and I'm telling them like this. Yes, the Bible calls us to forgive. It does. But it does not call us to remove from that person the temporal consequences. And I would actually go so far as to say, attempting to remove those temporal consequences is an attempt to undo God's not just punishment, but his natural design of the universe. There are consequences for actions. When you try to take those away, you are saying that you are smarter and better than God. Which I have to say, good luck with that.
So I want to point out,
as a father, that's his prerogative to do this.
Correct.
The father was not obligated, but he did so anyways because he loved his son. It's a different relationship.
I want to point out some things in this story that are rarely preached on in the Christian church. They're just overlooked. I'm not saying it's anything deceitful here. What are those things that will help us make sense of this?
Well, those things you talked about earlier?
Okay. First of all, the son asked his father. He requested his inheritance. He didn't demand it. He didn't steal it. He didn't take it. Okay. And truth is, it was his inheritance. So it was family money. It would flow to him. Eventually, it was going to be his. Now, here's another thing that they don't mention. How much money did he get?
I don't know.
Oh, it's easy to see. How many sons did the father have?
Well, we see 2.
Okay. A father
wasn't
had
the
2
eldest.
sons.
And he
So
wasn't
how
the
much
eldest.
did he get?
Well, you have the word primogeniture,
primogeniture.
which means that the eldest got the most, right? If I recall correctly.
That means the eldest gets 2 shares.
Right.
This was in existence throughout Christianity. And where did it change? When did it change? Who changed it?
Is
Was
the
Cromwell
papist?
in the 19th century?
No.
No. He's going to say the
America did,
Protestants
right?
changed it.
No. No, Protestants didn't change this. Happened in about first mention of it was 1776.
Oh, okay.
And who wrote about it? That would be Thomas Jefferson. All men are created equal. There's no more right of firstborn. So anyway, how this comes up is, okay, the youngest child got a third. He took a third, his third, eventually, and he pissed it away. And then later on in the story, the eldest son was all perturbed. And what did the father say to him? Son, you have always been with me. True. All that is mine is yours. That's true, because everything that's left is now eventually will be the eldest son. So the father did not take anything away from the eldest son when he killed the fatted calf and had a party. It doesn't say the younger son got another third. He just came back and he was embraced. He wasn't necessarily rewarded. Okay. So what else? There was no oath broken. Does a son ever take an oath to his father?
No.
Not usually. There's a
In marriage,
commandment.
there's oaths or vows.
Oh, yeah.
Vows, yeah.
A vow and an oath are the same thing. But we are commanded to honor our father and mother. So
Right.
the son maybe broke a commandment by not honoring his father, but he did not break an oath. He also did not commit any fraud, because what he had coming was he asked for it. There was no fraud involved. He didn't tell any lies. He didn't bear false witness or commit perjury against his father to get the money. When he came back, he had accountability. He says, yeah, I screwed up. You don't owe me anything. Just let me serve you. Just let me be a slave, and I just want food. That showed great humility. And the other thing is, the father said, oh, great, you're back. I love you. Hug him, give him a ring. We're going to have a celebration. He didn't require any restitution from the son, because the son took his inheritance. There's no fraud or theft or anything involved. So no restitution for financial harm was required. Now, are any of these things, do these same criteria, the things I just went through, is that true? If a woman files for a divorce and leaves her husband, did she ask? No. Did she get an inheritance by rights? No, because everything biblical, everything belongs to the husband traditionally. So, and she can leave, but she can't take his money. Did she break an oath? Yes, her wedding vows. Did she commit fraud? Yeah, she probably wasn't completely honest, hid assets. Maybe she was squirreling away money prior to the divorce in order to pay the attorney.
Or she lied about she lied or fabricated actions that her husband did not actually do during the marriage. That's fraud.
That would be the next one. Bearing false witness and perjury in the court hearing.
Well, using it to extract money. That's using it to extract money. That's the fraud.
So when she comes back, is she going to be accountable? Yeah. She's going to have humility.
Yeah.
So since there was fraud, false witness, theft, is restitution required?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I guess this story of the prodigal son does not apply to when Jezebel returns.
Good job, Steve. Really good. I really like how you did that. Very good. I've never heard it put that way before. Kudos. Good job.
And I just want to say this to you men out there listening. If you know a Christian guy who's going through this, please take this and share this video with them. I'm also going to time code this, and I'm going to have the secretary clip it so that we can get you guys a shorter version of it. Like this is fantastic.
Brilliantly done, Steve.
Well, you know, she's going to come back with, if she's Christian and you're Christian, she's going to have her narrative prepared with Bible verses quoted and all this and that. And, I'm trying to arm you guys beforehand so you've thought this through, so you're not caught unaware and fall for her narrative. You need some data to refute leaders
that. And the church leaders trying to use this crap, trying to force you. Now you can use, they might go to this verse or other ones, and now you can say, actually, doesn't quite apply here. There's some principles that apply, and I'm glad that she's supposedly repentant and there's forgiveness, but it doesn't require you to reconcile.
So I want to build on the point of the restitution. Is restitution required? Gee, what does the Bible say?
Yeah.
Plutarch. Let me have you read this one. The story of Zacchaeus.
Oh yeah, I remember this one from growing up. He entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and rich. And he sought to see who Jesus was, but could not on account of the crowd, because he was small of stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all murmured, he has gone in to be the guest of a man who is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, since he is also a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost."
There's restitution for you.
Fourfold.
Yeah. Well, atonement, he did good by giving half of his goods to the poor. And, he defrauded people because he said their taxes were higher. And then he took more money than the government wanted, and he remitted what was required to the government, but he kept the rest. That's fraud. So, yeah, you don't just pay back what you took. In this case, fourfold. So Zacchaeus acknowledged what he did. He admitted to defraud. He showed humility. He made restitution. And yes, and he was saved. Did Jesus say to him, "Oh, Zacchaeus, you don't need to give half your goods to the poor, and you don't need to return the money to those you defrauded"? No, Jesus didn't say that. So if you want salvation, it might cost you everything. And certainly if you want salvation, is salvation worth more than your money? Can you keep your money and say, "I still want to be saved"? Don't think.
There's a verse that comes to mind, I think. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that land. It's worth everything. You might lose all that you have for the sake of forgiveness.
Just a point of clarity. We're talking about losing all your worldly things. You can lose all your worldly things and gain salvation. You can do that.
Right.
That's the potential price tag. I'm not saying that everyone's going to lose everything for all time, and that's the only way to get salvation. I don't think that's the Bible's actually ever saying that anywhere, but it certainly can be.
I was thinking about that this week when we were talking about other matters. Some things are worth losing all your money.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to, and we had that conversation.
I told my second ex-wife, I wrote it to her. I would rather suffer an honorable defeat than have a dishonorable victory in the divorce. I kept my honor. I didn't perjure. I didn't lie. I didn't defraud. I didn't do any of that. Can't say the same about her.
Stand. Believe me.
Okay, Shu. Hillary Corzon. I don't know who this Hillary Crowder is. Yeah, she absolutely does hate the man. I mean, she spends most of her time on Twitter just coming up with reasons and ways to hate him. But yeah, she still does seem to love his last name a lot. Yeah, but I don't know who this Hillary. I say we borrow this concept, and Hillary Crowder is a dead name, and we're not allowed to say dead names. So I know who Hillary Corzon is. That her maiden name, but I don't know this Hillary Crowder person. She's dead. She lost that name when she divorced him.
Hey, I have a question I'd like to ask a feminist. But since there are no feminists,
that's a wrong crowd.
I'm going to have to ask you guys to answer as a feminist, okay? can a wife sin against her husband?
No, she can't. She knows so much better because of her feelings. Um, that they have so much more relationship sense that the man must bow down before her feelings.
Nick, no, you don't understand. Women can't sin. Women are sinless. I mean, shit. I had to
The
listen
divine feminine.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. The divine feminine and that whole bullshit that happened earlier this week. Nobody cares that you hitched a ride and just got just barely over the Kármán line. You were an astro passenger, not an astronaut. Get over it.
Yeah, but if she did something bad, she just had to, because it was actually caused by something bad the man did.
Man bad.
Haven't you heard that? Hey, Nick, has any church officials told you that? That it was
All the
really
time.
your
There's
feelings?
something I was hey, you just need to do everything right, be holy, and she will follow you. If she doesn't follow you, it's because you did something wrong. You failed somewhere.
So that's just affirmation that the church really teaches that women are not accountable for their actions. They really can't sin against their husbands. There's good reason they did what they did. And you know what? He needs to reform and take her back and just forgive her for anything that he caused her to do. See, now do you see how the prodigal son story relates, and how you might need this ammunition if the Jezebel returns? And then she's gonna pull out all the forces to, if she's desperate enough to get you to take her back. She will involve the church again, and the Christian ladies, and all the Christian simps, and they're going to be telling you this stuff. So you better be armed.
Hey, Shu, I see you there in the comments. Yeah, we can't let you derail us. We're not ready. We can't go there. We have a different topic this evening. But also, yes.
So, yeah, let me scroll to I think we talked about the discussion points. There was fraud. Zacchaeus did repent. He did make restitution. And he did make atonement. Okay, the fraud, he said he defrauded. So we know that happened. He repented of that. And the restitution was returning fourfold to anyone he defrauded. And the atonement was giving half of his wealth to the poor. And then Jesus accepted him back.
And I want to say something else here too, and I think this is something that's lost in our society these days is, okay, he restores fourfold anybody he defrauded. Now, he probably didn't defraud everyone because that he collected taxes from, because very likely most people would have some idea of what they owed. And so like he might be able to play around the edges, but with most of them, he's probably actually going to be a reasonably honest actor. Okay. And so, yeah, he had to pay back a chunk of money, and he gave away half of his goods and his resources, would be a modern day term. He was probably still quite well off when he was done with this. Yeah, his life wouldn't be what it was, but that's what I was saying earlier. Like the Bible doesn't actually require that in all cases to purchase your salvation. And let's not get started on the whole Catholic Church and its indulgences. But the Bible doesn't actually require that you give up everything to purchase your salvation. It requires repentance, restitution, and atonement. And this guy did give up a lot. He wasn't destitute when this was all over.
Right. So, can a woman
So how
sin
might that
against her
look?
husband?
Sorry, what did you say?
So, really, can a woman sin against her husband?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So now, in a point of forgiveness, Jesus forgave Zacchaeus. So, does the ex-husband have the authority to forgive his wife, his ex-wife, if she comes back?
Yeah.
Okay, and we know that's true because Ephesians 5, verse 23. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. The church submits to Christ, so also wives submit to their husbands. Therefore, in this analogy, in some ways, the wife's salvation comes from her husband, through her husband. He's her head. She has to obey and submit to him. Therefore, he also has the power to forgive and take her back. Now, does Jesus forgive and take someone back if they don't repent and do not have humility, are unwilling to make restitution? Basically, they're greedy.
He never once did in the Bible.
No, he
never
doesn't.
knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity.
Yes.
Yep.
So, should we go to my last point, or should we go to Nick wanted to bring up Hosea, right?
Yeah, I got a bunch. I'll just go up to Proverbs 30:20 first. Because this illustrates the problem. And I'll put my screen up there.
Okay.
Add to stage. I got to remove you from the stage real quick. Add to the stage. There we go. There we go. I got ads there. Sorry, guys. I don't have a pop-up blocker that was worth the crap. So, Proverbs 30:20.
Let me say something here before we get into Proverbs. Guys, we're not doing this to try and Christianize you. We're just pointing out biblical wisdom here. Yeah, should you become a Christian? Yeah, of course. Okay. Accept Jesus, be saved. Okay, now I said my part. But really, what I'm trying to do is show there is ancient wisdom here to deal with these situations. We just want the truth and these facts to come out, and I think they're applicable whether you're Christian or not Christian.
Okay? Right. The truth is
it makes observations.
Right. The truth is the truth, no matter where the truth comes from. You can't hide it. You can't change it. You can't make it go away. You know, if the truth comes from the Bible, so be it. You can look out at the world and see that these that the problems discussed and the solutions offered are both present today and work today. That's truth.
So here we have an ancient observation about women, particularly of an adulterous woman. Yes, it's inspired by God. I believe that. Yes, and I think that's true. God's word says, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness. A lot of the church ladies will do this way. Oh, Jesus forgives me. I'm just going to keep on and on and on. And
a lot of the divorce in the church is done with this sort of mentality about the women. There's always some reason why the guy screwed up, and then these women in the church, and oh God, I saw this growing up throughout the church. and they just come in and they say, well, he did all these horrible things and I did nothing to deserve any of this. That's the same thing.
Boy, do we know that. So she commits adultery. It's like she eats, wipes her mouth up. It's all gone. I've done no wickedness. Out of sight, out of mind. Just move on with my life with no repentance, no humility, none of that. And the church enforces this. They think that you must take such women back, these Jezebels back, that eats, wipes her mouth, and says, I have done no wickedness after all the wickedness that she has done. But don't you know that's in the past? Jesus forgives me, but I have done no wicked. But at the same time, you will see no repentance. There's actually another reason why she's probably returning. She still thinks she's done nothing wrong. The church won't hold her accountable, and times are bad. She needs the resources. She's desperate. She can't find a good man to take care of her. So she's coming back. Ulterior motives. She may dress up in the garb of a trad wife. I know that's going around. I don't necessarily want that to stop. I think it's movement in a right direction, even though it's plain dress up and it's fake. But hey, something might catch on. Who knows? But they can do all that, but they really have not shown no remorse, no humility, no repentance.
Well, that's why I call
All
the
right.
trad wife trend a LARP. LARP is an acronym that stands for live action role play. And they are just playing a role. They're just playing a character in the movie. Now they think they're the main character because they get in front of a camera and show the world that they're trad wives. Or many of them aren't even wives. Many of them are single, yet they put on the garbs and garments of a trad wife.
Right. It's the mask they're putting on.
Yep.
All right. So Hosea, man, I've heard this so many times when I was doing a ministry called Reengage, how you just need to forgive. They get you, they say they establish forgiveness, and it takes them all the way to like past halfway of the course, like 9 weeks or something. It's like a 16-week course. They get to like week 9 or even later. I don't remember the exact lesson. Then finally they make you confess. And they expect, a lot of times, yeah, men do cheat. Yes, that happens. Yes, I saw that. A lot of times it's the women. They finally think that they can now let that out that they cheated. And they expect the man just to take them back because of Hosea or the prodigal son. Hosea 2, verse 3, 2 through 3, chapter 1. Then I'll go to chapter 3, verses 1 through 3. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, go take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms. Single mommy. For the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim. I might have mispronounced that one, which conceived and bare him a son. All right. So he did this by command of the Lord. This is not normative. This is not wisdom of how you should go find a woman. Then apparently she went off whoring around, and we get to Hosea chapter 3. She went, the dog returned to its own vomit. The leopard didn't change her spots, did she? Go figure. Chapter 3. Then saith the Lord unto me, go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of the Lord toward the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine. and I get to chapter 2. What you see here is he's redeeming her. The one he most interpreters think that he's redeeming the one he had wed in chapter 1. So, and it says in verse 2 here, so I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver and for an omer of barley and half omer of barley. And I said unto her, thou shalt abide with for me many days. Thou shalt not play the harlot, thou shalt not be for another man, so will I rise. Sorry, thou shalt not be for another man, so will I also be for thee. There you go. So they say, oh, it happened in the Bible. You got to do what Hosea did and take him back.
But then what happened? He forgave her for being a harlot. She came back. He paid money to get her back, actually. And said, you got to put away your harlotry. No more of that stuff. What happened after that, Nick?
No, he got the harlot. Then she returned her harlotry, and then he brought her back.
Well, okay.
Did she ever leave again, or don't we know?
We don't know.
I have a question for Nick here. So God commands Hosea to go take the harlot as his wife.
Right. Bad advice, right? That's the whole point.
Well, okay. But is what these women are saying that God commands them to take harlots too? Is this commandment to Hosea apply? Are we, because it looks like in order for this story to be useful, you have to say God commands you to take a harlot, a whore. And is that ever actually stated in the Bible? I don't think so. Right.
No.
Okay. So what you're saying is that this command was given to Hosea, not the Christian people, not the Israelites. It was given to Hosea for a specific purpose of illustrating a specific story and a specific outcome, right? It was done for a purpose. It is not a general commandment, i.e., like the 10 Commandments are.
I would say that's true. But
like
you know what?
Donkey, like God, like a donkey speaking, right?
Yeah,
not
but
normative.
Well, hold on. We know that what's taught in many Christian churches, they tell the young man, wife up those single moms. So he wifes her up. And the church, and the guy says, okay, now you're mine. You're going to stay with me, and your past days are over. And they lived happily ever after. Right?
No. What do the Proverbs elsewhere say? Stay far away from the whorish woman.
The Bible actually has quite a few more verses about staying away, which is actually Shu, I think, is on point here. He says, man up and marry those sleuths is written in the book of heretical. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
I mean, yeah. Don't do it, guys. Do you want to go to the last verse I had, or do you want to do that at the end, Steve?
No, well, I don't know. I don't know what the last verse you have is. I was going to go to Genesis 3.
I was going to go to Isaiah 3 through 4.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. And then I'll be done with my part. Okay. So Israel's got her whoredoms, right? Israel, Judah. And the prophet Isaiah is here speaking around 8th century BC, let's say. Okay. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honorable man, and the counselor and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother in the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler. Let this ruin be under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen because of their tongue, and their doings are against the Lord to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous that if it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard, and the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord? Okay, so bad times come because of their wickedness, right? Everything's desperate
No.
times, right?
Well, yeah, okay, but go up to the beginning. Very, very beginning. Okay. First, the Lord of hosts doth take away. Okay, who does he take away? The mighty man, the man of war, the judge, the prophet, the prudent, the ancient, the captain of 50, the counselor, the cunning artificer. Oh, a cunning artificer. He's like a guy who does manufacturing and makes stuff for people. The eloquent orator. Oh, whoa. All the men lose all their power because God, the people rebelled. So he took away patriarchal leadership. And then things went to shit. And then, who ruled them? Women and children and buffoons and idiots. And okay, so when you trash the men, and are men being trashed today? Do women need men? Do women respect all the stuff that men do to make civilization work? No. Men are being discarded. So is the rest of this shit going to get worse? I kind of think so.
Oh, yeah, it talks about the women even then, too, kind of like now, interestingly. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Uh-oh. So, guys, this is the behavior of many modern women today. And that's kind of our land right now, all the crappy leaders that we have. Oh, times are bad, but that's how they were acting when times were good, but times are coming bad. God's going to judge them. When shit hits the fan, judgment on that decadence, and there's a desperation that will set in. Isaiah 3 turns into Isaiah 4. I'm going to read the rest of this, and you'll see how it acts, how it ends up. Therefore, the Lord will smite with the scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls, and their round tires like the moon, the chains, and the bracelets, and the mufflers, and the bonnets, and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tablets. That's not the iPad guy. And the earrings, the rings, and nose jewels, the changeable suit of a
nose jewels? You mean the bull ring?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's what it was back then.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
But you see all the crap that they have. They like today the girls with all their lips and their handbags, their expensive clothing, their Snapchats, their TikToks, their Instagrams. Oh yeah, all their crap. The changeable suits of apparel, the mantles, the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. Notice how he has all this detail about the crap that the women are doing. Okay, and he says, and it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of a well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding cloth, a sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Then men shall fly by the sword, and the mighty in the war. And her gate shall lament and mourn, and being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Oh, it's going to get real bad. What do the women do? Isaiah chapter 4. They return. Oh, they're so proud, but oh, I'm so humble now. I'm desperate for a man. Okay, chapter 4. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. And that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. It shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, and every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem, when the Lord shall wash away the filth of the daughters of Zion. Yeah, our modern women are filth. A lot of the church ladies are filth. The Lord calls them the same thing, the filth of the daughters of Zion. So when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof, by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of the burning, and the Lord will create upon every dwelling place a Mount Zion, and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and shining of a flame and fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense, and there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the day, and in the daytime from the heat, for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storm and from rain.
So this does kind of say that when Jezebel returns, there will come a day when she will return. But what has to happen first before it's a sincere return? Things are so bad. She loses everything. Everything is taken away from her. She is humbled by exogenous events. And she has no choice, zero choice, but to come back.
They're desperate for a man, 7-1. Because there's nothing left of their haughtiness. Times are so bad.
Okay. I want to say something else here. There is this move in the red pill. It's been there for a while to try and make polygamy great again. And here's what I would have to say to that. First off, these aren't the women that you want. Okay.
No.
These women they're high maintenance. They probably have VDs. You know, they
high maintenance, like here, all this shit.
Yes, they are looking for a bailout, and yeah, they will give you all sorts of things. But don't think that this is going to be some cream of the crop. You know, you're going to get 7 an 8s or 9s or 10s, right? No, you're going to get 3s and 4s, and because there's a lot more of those out there than there are 8s, 9s, and 10s. Okay. This is not people kind of have this view of polygamy of, wouldn't it be great and wonderful to have access to all this kind of pussy? To which I would have to say, No, dear God, no. You have to listen to these harpies, and you have to listen to 7 of them, and you have to take care of and clothe and feed 7 of them. And why? I wouldn't wish this hell on my worst enemy. This polygamy
I'm sure
thing.
All 7 are going to get along just fine.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any squabbles. There's not going to be any competition among them to see who's favorite. They're just going to be sweet, lovable, loving creatures, right?
Well, honestly, it's the ultimate Captain Save-A-Ho fantasy. Not only could I save 1, I saved 7 guys. Oh, and by the way, they're all sweet and pure, and they all love me, and they all suck my dick. No, that is not how any of this is going to work. She's desperate. She's looking for a bailout. She will tell you whatever it is you want to hear. She might even be willing to do all the sexual favors you want, but you still have to live with a screeching harpy who is hungry and demands the accoutrement of the good life.
What you actually get is 7 black widows that will devour you and feed you to her children.
Well, maybe this isn't that case, because maybe the exogenous event is so bad that external force keeps her in line. I mean, that's what leads up to the circumstance. So the man can't keep her in line. It's external forces that keep her in line. She's so desperate at that point, she doesn't have other options. And it might be not so bad to live with her. I mean, don't assume that she's going to still have all the power that she has today.
No,
if you take her back before all these bad things happen, and it humiliates and humbles her and leaves her with no recourse. If you take her back before that time, oh yeah, she's going to try and manipulate and rule the roost again.
I'm not sure I can go that far, because I'm not talking about power. I'm talking about personality. These are women who they have only ever known, and they even when the exogenous event happens, they will have only ever known one way of living. Yes, an exogenous life could theoretically knock you into a different trajectory in terms of personality. But if you actually study the history of these exogenous events, they don't. They repress yes, they repress the worst of her temperament, but it's actually the younger generations and the children that get knocked into a different personality trajectory.
I've heard this summarized, Plutarch, by the phrase, people don't change, they just adapt.
Yeah, exactly. It's an adaptation, not an actual change. And if you actually saw this a bit with the boomers and the way that their parents dealt with them later in their parents' lives, when they let off when the problem disappears or is significantly removed, they revert. So the problem would have to, so you would get the kind of, like, I could see what you're saying about in that moment of time where the situation is really bad. I could see what you're saying being the case. Like, yeah, sure. She probably would behave that way, but as the situation resolves itself, the old personality is still there. That's why I'm personally just like, I'm never going to deal with this. This is one of these people, and one of these women is plenty enough. Please and thank you.
Well, let's go to my last part.
Gotta add it back.
Yeah, add it back. Okay, let's go to Genesis, the curse. So, the conclusion I want to make here is a rebellious wife, a Jezebel. Maybe this is not a huge Jezebel at this point, but the repercussions were pretty bad.
It's in seed form.
The woman
in seed form. Yeah.
The woman incurs a curse. This is God's curse on mankind. This is the fall. To the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Yet your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. But to Adam, he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. So, conclusion, she might come back if circumstances get bad enough. The man has no obligation to take her back. A man should not listen to her excuses and her new narrative. If he takes her back, she must have humility and be accountable. She must make restitution. And now he's got to do the thing he probably didn't do well enough in the past, which isn't necessarily a sin, but I'll call it a failing. She must be ruled over and is not equal in authority or responsibility. Now, just read you the curse in Genesis. Look at all that bad stuff. Look at the curse on Adam. Because he listened to the woman. Yeah, he was responsible for her. He had a lot of repercussions for listening to her. So don't just listen to her sob story, because you know what? You have the responsibility. You have the authority. The man has the authority. In the creation story, Adam, the man was created with dominion. The woman was created out of man to be his helpmeet. She's his helper, not his boss bitch. Right. And when she was created, she did not get part of his dominion. He retained dominion. She helped him. Okay, think about this. Does she have any authority? No.
Not over him.
Think about this in your job. Do you have authority in your job? Well, yeah, I have authority. It's the authority that was delegated to you by your boss. So, yes, a woman can have authority, but her authority comes from her boss, the head of the household, comes from man. Right. Man has all the authority. He can delegate some authority to her. That doesn't mean he has to be a tyrant. Doesn't mean he has to micromanage her.
Right.
She can have some independence under his headship, just like you have independence under your supervisor at work. We don't seem to have a problem with that. I acknowledge my boss. I do what he tells me to do. I obey him. If I disagree with something he said or wants me to do, I can say, are you sure that's a good idea? Here's what I think. And he can say, I don't want to hear anything from you. Just go do it. Well, then I got to go do it. He might hear what I say and say, I don't agree with you. Do it my way. Okay, then I have to do it his way. No one seems to be complaining about having a boss. Women don't complain that much about having a boss at work and the dynamics there. They don't expect to be
They
an
give them more
equal
respect than
partner.
their husbands.
And
But
that is a problem. That's a huge problem. Who gets more respect, your boss or your husband? So, guys, think about this. You have the authority. God basically said you have the responsibility. If she screws up, you're still responsible. So, guys, take all these things into account if and when she comes back. But actually, there's a lot of lessons in here that you can use in your day-to-day life, assuming you still have a woman in your life. You're still married. There's a lot of lessons in here for you. And it's, you know what? Don't become a Christian if there's no truth in the Bible. If it's a pack of lies and contrived events, why would you become a Christian? If, on the other hand, hey, there's a lot of truth in here, well, that might be part of the reason to look in further and consider it.
Absolutely.
Well,
Steve, I think you did a. Go ahead, Plutarch.
I wanted to take this back to something that we said earlier in the stream, and that is, you do not owe these women. The Bible does not say that you have to marry the harlot. That might be a construction of the modern church, but the Bible doesn't say it. And this passage in Genesis is why the Bible never says it. This is the explanation of why you don't do that. Because, as Steve says, it is a curse to do so.
And leopards don't change their spots.
Right. Exactly.
That was actually, we usually say don't take relationship advice from women. But my mom was right about that. For a while, there was a time I considered taking my ex-wife back in the first few months when we were separated, and I was willing to work through it. And she said, Nick, I know you want to do this, but I'm going to tell you, a leopard doesn't change her spots.
I was told the same thing going through my divorce. I just never had any particular desire to take her back, even, I mean, maybe in the first couple of weeks before I had talked with my friends about all the stuff that was going on. But once I'd worked out with the boys, nah, I was done. I was out. It was never going back. And I had both men and women tell me that, some use the leopards never changed their spots metaphor. Others just said, one of them said, oh yeah, no, she's going to come back at some point. And, what are you going to say? And I'm going to say, oh, hell no. Done with that. But it's solid advice. Well, here's the other thing. Can women say things that are true, Nick?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So again, the truth is true no matter where it's found and no matter where it comes from. If a woman tells you something that's true, well, it's still true. Now, we're not talking about, a woman stating a truth is not the same thing as a woman trying to teach you something and trying to hold authority over you. Different things.
So, guys, we beat that horse to death. Any other thoughts?
I do have one. Let me bring this up because since we are all Americans here, I'll have to stop screen, present. I want to point out something else. Oh, that's not it. Okay. Since we're Americans, the text of the Declaration of Independence. I want to point out one thing. It kind of relates to what I said previously. Let me read the first paragraph and part of the second. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So it talks about the people. Then this next one. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whoa. Nobody ever pointed this out to me. In the first paragraph, they use the words people and mankind.
Laws of nature.
And in the second paragraph, they say all men are created equal. But you know what? Everybody's interpreting that as, it means all people are equal. No.
Steve.
What does that mean? It relates to primogeniture. There is no more right of the firstborn to a bigger share. Remember, Jefferson wrote this. When he was a young boy, his father was even wealthier than he was. He had like 7,000 acres, I guess. Thomas Jefferson, as the eldest, received about 5,000 acres. He got 2/3 or whatever. He got the bigger share. But then he did not want that, and he advocated for this equality of mankind. No more right of the firstborn. That's what all men are created equal. That's what that means. It doesn't mean all people are equal, because Thomas Jefferson still had the indentured servant people. Did he think they were equal to him? No. Doesn't mean that. So women are going to come back and say, I am your equal. You should take me back. I have equal authority and power and blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. This doesn't even relate to that.
Well, more to the point, the framers would have never considered women to be their equal under any circumstance.
No, absolutely not. Maybe it's if they had some Quakers there, maybe. But
there were some, but not. What was it? Mostly Pennsylvania, I think. But the Pennsylvania delegation would have had Quakers in it, but in general, the framers would. I mean, note how they switch. There's another switch that happens. They go from people to men.
Mm-hmm.
They go from gender neutral to gender specific language. They were actually very clear that they did not consider women equal to men. And this would have been normal back then. This the idea that we have today that women can do anything a man can do, like you could say the words to them, but they would have no idea what you're talking about, because they would say, but they're not. But they would just go ahead.
How come they don't want a man that's their equal? How come they don't want a man that's their equal, but then demand equality?
Are you expecting women to make sense?
Me, no.
No.
But okay, I talked about this earlier. When did this change happen? In inheritance rights? In the US, our country established this equality of inheritance. Prior to that, it was in the law that the eldest son, not eldest child, the eldest son got a greater share than the others.
Hey, Steve.
And girls got a lesser share than the younger brothers. There was a whole body of law around this, and it was all thrown out at the when the United States became a country. This all relates to inheritance.
Steve, and maybe Nick, you can speak on this too from a biblical standpoint. My understanding is that part of the reason for primogeniture is the eldest was expected to care for the like if something happened to the brother's family or whatnot, like the eldest brother was expected to care for his siblings, probably much like he had done growing up. Dad's away,
and the widowed mother,
or the widowed mother, right? So,
right.
There was this, the firstborn got more. They also got more responsibility to go with it. Unless I don't think I'm mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure that's.
I think you're right. I mean, the eldest became the new patriarch of the family.
Yes.
He maintained the bulk of the farmland. With that, he assumed the leadership, the role of the father as the keeper of the family. Yes, with that came responsibility. So you think that's a privileged position? Well, I guess it is. Might be great. But the younger son, he could go out and he could innovate. He could do things. He had freedom that the eldest did not have. The eldest had a lot of restriction on his freedom because of his birthright.
So I also read that as there's a reason why in the prodigal son, it's the younger son, not the older son.
True.
Yeah, the younger son is the one who just takes his inheritance and leaves and squanders it. I mean, you could tell that story from as it having been the elder son, and I'm sure that happened, but you're telling a very different story about the different responsibilities and whatnot of the elder, right?
The elder son maybe didn't even have the freedom to do that.
No,
he could not just take 2/3 of the money and leave and go squander it, because he had responsibilities, and he knew that culturally, and he was raised with that. And notice how responsible he was, and how his thinking was different. He didn't grow up thinking he had the freedom to go piss away the money. No.
Well, it's in the story. It mentions that the eldest son was out in the fields, and as he was coming home, he heard the music, I think, or he heard the celebration. Right. So that would imply that not only did he have responsibility, he was out executing on that responsibility.
So I just thought it was important to bring this up. So us, the Americans, and most of us are American men, most of our listeners are American U.S. citizens, to understand how your thinking is colored, affected by the conditions we live in. And it wasn't always this way. There are things that you have accepted that are not true, such as all men are created equal. The Declaration of Independence says so. Well, you know what? The government doesn't even believe in the Declaration of Independence.
They don't.
Because we just deported some people. Oh, did we give them due process? No, we're not required to. They're not citizens. Oh, I guess all men are not created equal. Oh, did the blacks get the right to vote because all men are created equal, or did the government give them the right to vote? Oh, I guess their rights don't come from God. They come from the government. Oh, as a man, do you have your rights? Life, liberty, and the pursuit
No.
of happiness? No, because
No.
the family court can take away your liberty, your passport, because you don't have, do you have your life? No, they're taking that. Happiness? No, they took away all your money. Oh, yeah, they can.
Away your
Oh, do you have the
children.
right to bear arms? Oh, no. Yeah, you have a restraining order on you. That right
ATF.
went away.
ATF.
Okay,
Red
you
flag
know
laws
what?
are evil.
Rights are baloney. They don't exist, and the government says they don't exist because they take them away. If they really came from God, could they take them away? No. So its rights are a fiction in your mind. This equality is a fiction in your mind. So
now there is an equality as a man born in the image of God. Yes. But because of sin, because of providence, yeah, you could have those stripped from you in life circumstances. You could be enslaved as a prisoner of war and other things, and you can get into debt. But
well, your
yeah,
soul is equal, but
yes,
that's the extent of it.
well, a free man does have the right to life, liberty, and that. Sure, but we don't in our day and age. That's the tyranny we live under. And that's according to the laws of nature. But does that mean everybody's equal in every sense? No, some have more money. Some are the firstborn. So equality doesn't mean equality across the board. And so I wonder, those who signed this, did they see Jefferson's view of inheritance laws? I wonder.
Who knows? It would take an actual scholar to read through all their writings and figure that out. I haven't done that. I don't know that much. So, I mean, this has kind of been a lot of stuff all over the map that says, you know what? Things you've been told are true as to how you should behave as a Christian. They're not necessarily true. They're not necessarily biblical. Things you've been told are true as an American are not necessarily true. You've been indoctrinated. Christian indoctrination, U.S. indoctrination. You don't know history without knowledge. You're more inclined to make a bad decision or not realize the authority you have. So, take some time to think about this. And so when something unexpected happens and you're presented with a choice, be prepared and don't make a rash or a foolish choice.
The Jezebels may also return. You're not required to take them back. Think. Think through what we have said tonight. Don't act. I would say pray too, but you may not be one of them. So
right. Well, we can't rule out that there's non-Christians in our audience.
Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah. I'm kind of talking to the non-Christians. Yeah. You know what? Just use this wisdom. You don't have to be Christian to use this wisdom.
You really don't. Gentlemen, you have anything else to say?
Good.
All right. Well, if you like what you heard, drop us a like. If you know a guy who needs to hear this, please share this video. I will have the secretary clip the chunk with Steve that the men need to hear, and I'll give her the time codes for that.
It was really brilliant.
It was. And yes, join us on Saturday. Don't know what that topic's going to be yet. However, we do know what next Wednesday is. Nick, I hear you've got something for us.
Yeah, I got a guy who's going to talk about the development of family and family law and where fathers lost their rights and the government usurped father's authority, how it's developed to our present day.
Excellent. Sounds fun. Well, I don't know about fun, but sounds enlightening. Fun for us. The week after that, we don't know who's going to lead it. It might be all three of us. So 2 Wednesdays from now, we are going to go back to the concept of morality. We did a stream on this. Oh goodness, probably summer of last year, titled "Is the Red Pill Amoral?" You guys can go back and watch that. I would recommend you do. That's going to inform some of what we're talking about. You can see Nick smiling over there. He's been sharpening his knives in our text as we do our prep work. I have some illustrations and some things that I'm sure that will tie the empiricists into knots because they are scientifically provable and kind of shadow the empiricist view of the world. So that will be that's another interesting stream that we've got coming up. And yeah,
that was one. There were 2 big controversial things that we've done, bigger than anything else. One was the morality of the red pill.
Yep.
And the other one was the descriptors are the problem.
And they still are. So we are going to go back to that. Not only do we have some new ideas to share on morality and the morality of the red pill, it's just been a while, and we actually like to go back to and rework topics that we've discussed before. Keep thinking about them. I know. I also want to talk about the purpose of morality in a society and how the coming morality wave is unavoidable. So your choices are to either get a seat at the table or get out of the way. So we're gonna. I have lots to talk about. I am sure Nick, based on conversations we've had in private, has an equally large number of notes to go through. Steve, you can bring stuff, but we might not give you any airspace.
I've got a whole stack of like 10 volumes I'm going through on the subject. So there you go. Did you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Steve just froze for a second. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
That's our show for tonight. So yeah, we will see y'all next week. And later.